Hello and welcome to another Trusted House Painter Academy podcast. My name is Paul Stein and you're in for a great show today. So I've been painting for 20 years. It's quite a long time, but the one thing I've learned is that I still have a lot more to learn. Never ends. There's new inventions, innovations, new products, environmental regulations. Things are changing really fast. And the one thing I've learned is that the more I know, the more I don't know. So I'm learning every day. But from a business standpoint, the one thing that I truly understand is that when you have really honed in on your efficiencies, your production, there's not a lot of ways to make more money. For example, there's a few ways to make more money. The first one is very basic economics: raise your price. However, raising your price doesn't always get you, the jobs you want. If you're a one-man show, it's great, but if you've got a team, you can't always jack the prices up. The second way is another economic rule, and that's lower costs, lower expenses, cheap out on gear, just whatever you need to do to lower costs. The third one I don't recommend, and that's cut corners. Put the one coat, but you sell the two coats. Don't pay your taxes, or don't buy the business cards, buy the cheap things. Cut corners, and cutting corners won't get you anywhere. So those three don't really work. But the fourth one here is important because it's about being innovative, and it's about creating efficiencies within your operations that allow you to create that fatter margin. So my guest today has double the years on the brush than I do. So he's got 40 years, and he's mastered, in my opinion, the art of efficiency, productivity, and innovation, if you ask me. So Lawrence Ash from Dipless Brush Company, I welcome you to the show. Lawrence, how are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show. I'm very happy to have this opportunity. And, a lot like you said, there's a lot to learn from everybody in the industry, young and old alike. In fact, I often find myself learning little tidbits through the trade that I often was unaware of, or from new generations coming in that might have innovative ideas as well. And so always something to learn from those other associates in the industry, young and old. So
yeah, I just watched a video of yours. I follow you on Facebook, and I watched the video that you just made, and it was about a 5-minute video, and there you were sitting down, but you went in right in the middle of it. You went deep into how, there's many ways to do the same thing. So there's no one right or wrong way. It's really all about the customer and your relationship with it. So I really like watching your videos that you're on Facebook and demonstrating your product that we're going to talk about here. First and foremost, can I call you Larry, or do you go by Lawrence?
Larry would be great. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I'll call you Larry from now on. So,
yeah, all right.
And so your company is called Dipless Brush. I guess the first thing I'm going to ask you is not so much with respect to your product, but you're a veteran, you're an elder, whether you like it or not, you're passing the torch, the brush, to the younger generation. So my question to you is, what's the one piece of advice, one tip, one golden nugget that you could give the viewers right now, whether they're an older painter like us, or whether they are a brand new painter aspiring to start their own company? What's one piece of advice that you could give every painter out there?
My greatest piece of advice would probably be to, that the painting industry and everything within is a good, honest living. And as the saying goes, dirty hands is honest money. And, there's good money to be made in the trades. There was a generation where the trades have sort of dissipated a little bit, but they've come back. So the benefits are great. So definitely, I recommend, sticking with the trades. Those skills are valuable throughout life. You can, gather skills that you can use in your daily routine. So, definitely just to, stick with the trades. Pencil and paper is great, but, the trades is a good, honest living.
Yeah, that's right. And if anything, my advice to anybody watching is take a day off every now and then, because rest is important. And as us painters, we go. The money is good, the work is there. Make hay while the sun shines, right? So thanks for that piece of advice, man. It's as we get older, you need mentors, you need younger guys, and that kind of changes as we move up in life. So that's great. Anyways, Lawrence, so you've got a product, and you made a product called the Dipless Brush. And so first off, what is a dipless brush? And how does the paint get from the cut can to the surface you're painting if you don't dip it?
So great. So Dipless Brush actually is a brush attachment, and they attach to most airless paint sprayer equipment. Spray guns, angle connectors, spray poles, and such. So to answer the kind of question you have, we've taken the dipping process out of applying products with the squeeze of the handle on your spray gun. The product's delivered right internally into the brush, and therefore allowed to put on the surface and apply and back brush in one easy step using one simple tool, and eliminating the pail and the dipping process altogether. Both the dipping takes time, and also pails can get spilled and whatnot. So we find a lot of value in that.
That's great. So I guess you don't necessarily need a cut can anymore. You can just put it in your sprayer and you just wipe it on, and we'll show you we'll show the viewers a couple videos after the questions here throughout the video. But that's pretty smart. Like, I've used a power roller in the past, but I've never used a dipless brush. And at first, I admit I was skeptical when I saw it. I was like, oh, what's this thing? But after watching a few of your videos on YouTube, I think it's quite a brilliant idea, just simply because you just push the trigger and you go, right? Like, what kind of applications have you used this brush on?
So we've used it on numerous applications. I've used it on everything from wood shingled siding, concrete patios, wood decks, pretty much any surface that requires you to, apply and back brush the products in and work them in thoroughly. Really, really simple and easy, and, pretty much any surface. And what's great about it is you can do vertical surfaces, so not just deck floors and that type of thing, but, those vertical surfaces that are more difficult, the product just ejects out on the surface. You work it in, and it's, like I said, one easy step using one simple tool. And, when you read these cans of the product that you buy off the shelf, it'll often tell you if you plan to spray the product, they recommend you back brush.
I see. Yeah. So what problem does your product solve?
Essentially we solve several problems in the industry. So one is the time saving. So it's 4 to 10 times faster by taking that dipping process out. The average painter probably spends a couple of hours a day dipping and patting his brush on the side of the can. We give you a huge amount of savings there. Being able to cut in with the brush around trim and windows, and then spray open areas. We use less paper and plastic and masking. So, not saying we don't necessarily use some, but we use less. And that stuff ends up in a landfill. It costs money to buy those products. It also costs money to, take the prep time and hang all the plastic and paper. So therefore we're saving, that additional time and money. You don't need that. So, we're just trying to minimize and turn the value back to the customer. Our brushes also minimize and eliminate overspray. So we're solving a huge industry problem with overspray. There's literally, little to none that comes out of that brush when you're applying and back brushing. So as everybody knows, traditional spraying, the product goes between railings, it goes up over a fence, gets airborne, goes down the street. It can get on people's cars and property. It can cause you a lawsuit. So, avoiding overspray is a huge value in our industry. So
it is. Yeah. You're absolutely right, because there's a lot of people that do complain about overspray, and it's something that you don't see all the time. And unfortunately, you don't see it until someone says, hey, you got spray on my car. And I'll be the first to admit it. I've done it before, and I've detailed one car, and then they told their associate, they came out and saw it. I ended up detailing like 5 cars because one person saw what they thought was overspray, and it could have been pollen. But anyhow, in this video that we're watching here, it shows that you cut in without even like masking or anything. You cut in right to that wall siding. Yeah. And here you're explaining how this brush works. And like you said, you don't even need any tools or like any plastic, any paper, and you're not on your hands and your knees. Like, one thing that I find amazing about this video that I just saw was the fact that when I'm cutting and rolling a deck, to truly do it right, you got to get that brush in between every single crack. Now, I know some painters just use a big fat roller, but generally speaking, it just hangs over and it doesn't get the sides of the boards. And if you're doing a color change, you need to get that in the cracks. And so that can take a lot of time just doing a deck like that. So the video that you saw here, we'll do another one here quickly. It clearly shows that, you know, you get into all the cracks, whether it's a worn deck, whether it's a new deck, and it's pretty straightforward. You're just kind of walking back and forth and shooting the gun, right?
Definitely. Most professional people that do decks really know that a roller isn't really sufficient. It kind of rolls across the flat surface. It doesn't get in between those cracks and spaces all that well. And just one of the other things I wanted to mention when you had mentioned about some of the problems that we solve is that, you know, a lot of times traditional spraying waste product. The product kind of can go airborne, like I mentioned, but also it can, you know, like doing a deck, it can go between the railings, you know, over a fence and stuff like that. So, you know, we actually save on the product as well. So, you know, we save in a lot of departments when it comes to, you know, delivering the product and trying to keep the product where we want it to go, which is actually on the surface that we're actually applying and backbrushing to. So, you know, just wanted to, you know, mention that, you know, we also save a lot of product. I mean, you know, we all know, like you said, the product does tend to go where product wants to go if we let it, if we allow it. So, you know, minimizing is definitely something that we really value in the industry.
Well, it is huge, especially if you're using a lot of paint, because I know when I spray and I cut card, there's a lot of waste. I clean it off, and there is a lot of waste when overspraying on cut cards and throughout the place. So I believe you're right when you're saving paint there as well. And another thing that I've talked about with Clay Rock, who's the co-host on our show sometimes, he talks about what he calls the transition time. So in an 8-hour working day, you generally only have, you know, 5 or 6 hours of actual production, because you got your breaks, you got your ladder setups, you got your ladder takedown, you got your paint, you got all these things that you do. So in an 8-hour day, you're lucky to maybe get half of a day of production. Well, seeing these videos, you just load up your sprayer and there's nothing stopping you. There's not getting down a ladder, pouring into a cut can, mixing the wrong paint. You just load it into your sprayer and you go, right?
That's right. And I just like you mentioned, I typically tell people that not much gets done in an 8-hour day. If you really break down an 8-hour day and you know, see what an average worker does. However, when, you know, given the right tools and equipment, you know, that does add the time savings, adds the value. And so, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Okay. My next question is, what products can you use with it? So is it good for acrylic latex? Is it good for oil, polyurethanes?
Yeah.
Is it good for epoxies? Like,
yeah,
what is it good for?
Yeah, awesome. Great questions. So I find the products are great with all products. So when I say that, what I mean is they're good for oil-based, latex, acrylic products, whether they be concrete stains, wood stains, paints, primers, you know, acrylic paints, pretty much anything that you're going to apply, you know, in backbrush with a brush, you can apply in backbrush. So, you know, we don't like to rule out any products. You mentioned polyurethanes. I'm a big believer that there's a space for my products in the hardwood flooring industry. It's not one that we actually actively pursue regularly, but it is something that we have on our radar because those guys do a lot of, you know, applicating. Same thing with a brush. They cut in just like we do. And I think there's a lot of value in that industry as well. So application industry actually does go beyond painting and staining. So I'm glad you mentioned polyurethane because there is other coating applications that do fall into the category of painters, even though they're not actually painting. It's, you know, flooring industry, but those guys, I'll have to give them a little bit of credit. They're painters. So some of those guys are actually, they're applicators, I should say. That's right. And, you know, they're as much a professional as we are. I know that they believe in, you know, the look of their finish, just like we do. You know, they want a flawless looking floor, just like we want a flawless looking wall or a flawless looking mantle or whatever we're working on. So definitely, you know, there are other industry products. Polyurethane is a huge one that we have on our radar. But you know, I'm glad you mentioned other coatings. There's lots of coatings out there.
And I guess once you're done with the work, is it easy to clean? Is it just like any other brush? How do you clean it?
Absolutely. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So yes, definitely, they're really easy to clean. It's no different than cleaning an average paintbrush. You clean it out with a little wire brush. I do recommend that you take the little metal parts apart and make sure you get all the, any paint residue or stain residue out from the internal components. But really easy, simple as a paintbrush. And they're made for long-lasting, repetitive use as well. I mean, you can reuse the brush. I've had one particular brush that I've used on countless projects. I want to say about 5 projects, 3 wood decks, concrete patio. I put 30, 40 gallons through that brush and it still looks as good as new. So yeah, these brushes are made in the USA. They're made for long lasting repetitive use and they clean up really nice.
Well, that's cool, man. That's really great to hear that it is made in the USA. It's a local, obviously a local company, and it's you're a painter by trade and an entrepreneur, what I call a painterpreneur, and you're bringing it to the market, which is awesome. And I think that's what we need in this 21st century, this post 2000 world. We need more entrepreneurs to step forward and produce solutions like you've done. My other question that I was going to ask you here real quickly was, I saw that on your website. I've got your website here on the screen. And it shows that you've got 2 different brushes. So do you want to go into a little bit of explanation about the 2 different brushes? Before you do that, I will note that, I saw some of your pricing. And if you bought one of those brushes at a regular price and you used it every day, that's like 42 cents a day, right? That's like 42 cents. So, you have that brush for 2 years. That's like 20 some odd cents, 21 cents per day to use a brush that'll not only help you make money, but make it innovative and make it more efficient for you. So let's maybe, if you can tell our viewers and your potential customers, what's the difference between the 2 different brushes you have on your site here?
Okay, so yeah, we do have 2 different brushes. So we have a composite block brush that's actually multi-purpose. It's actually a pre-prep cleaning brush. We use that with our airless sprayer to clean decks and clean siding and stucco, things that you don't want to use a high pressured power washer for. So we have these cleaning brushes that, they condense water with your airless sprayer. They use less water, but they're great for cleaning, but they will stain a deck or a fence. So we call them multi-purpose. Our wood block brushes are for painting and staining and the application process. And, they're a great long lasting brush with nylon bristles. We've got 2 of the best manufacturers in the United States making these quality brushes. So, again, they're high quality. They're made to last a long time. And, like we talked about, you can use the brushes from multiple products. So we've used a bristle type that's, going to be good with oil base as well as latex and acrylics equally. So they're great brushes. They last a long time. They do work great with all the products that are on the market. And yeah, so we do have the 2 types. We do take recommendations for, any fine tuning that we might want to take into consideration for future product runs. If you think we might need to make changes or something, we welcome that feedback too. So, we want to make the best product for the customer because we want to deliver high-end brushes.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a painter, you can buy gimmick stuff. You can buy cheap stuff. I'm there are throwaway stuff that I use, but there's nothing like having a really good tool that does a good job and shows up for you every time and doesn't break. So yeah. I recommend, and before the show, we talked about you having a promo code for a couple days for the viewers watching the show now. So do you want to maybe mention that?
Yes, absolutely. So we are running a promo code. It's, let me find my glasses, make sure I got this right. So it's pod 20. You put that in the promo box, at checkout, and that saves you 20% on the brushes. So you just mentioned a moment ago something about cost of brushes, and I just kind of wanted to just dive back into that real quick. That typically speaking, when you compare, you can't. People want to compare us with a paintbrush. Yes. But here's the reality. It comes down to classification. We're actually a spray accessory tool. And, within being a classification comes that cost that you mentioned. So, when people do put us in the category of a paintbrush, and most painters look at us and immediately think, oh, a paintbrush. And they're going to think $25, $30. And, the reality is our brushes are a little more money than that, but our price reflects that because they're actually a spray accessory tool, and it's all about classification. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that, just to justify the cost a little bit, because I think that some people are a little apprehensive, but they don't realize that our brushes can actually deliver 15 gallons in a short period of time. And when I say that, in a 7-hour shift, I've actually personally applied 15 plus gallons on siding. So that's the kind of value that our brushes deliver. So, I just wanted to kind of double back on the fact that, you can't compare us with a regular paintbrush. We're an accessory tool.
Of course. Yes, of course. That kind of makes sense. And anything sprayer related is expensive, like a tip. I live in Canada, and a tip, like a spray tip, a 515 or whatever, that's like $30. It's a little spray tip. You know what I mean?
I often refer people to the Graco quick shot or quick shot or whatever it's called there, that is about $150, and it's just this little connector thing. And I say to people, I says, geez, the Graco quick shot or whatever it's called is, that's an expensive pot. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. When I say you have to classify us in the right classification. You can't look at us as a typical paintbrush. The typical paintbrush may apply a half a gallon for a consumer during their shift, or maybe a gallon if they're really good. But we can deliver gallons upon gallons, 5-gallon buckets, and really just apply volume. So we're a volume product.
So here we're looking at a video, and you're kind of spraying shingles, and shingles should be back brushed. You can back roll them, but the brush gets the nylon fibers in there and actually works with the grains, and it does a really good job. So here you're showing exactly how you put a 1-foot attachment on it, and then you kind of sprayed it, and it shoots out through the actual brush, and then you come back and you're just brushing it as you go along. That is a super time saver, if you ask me.
It is, and definitely I'm glad you pointed that out on that video, because that is actually the volume that I'm talking about. I mean, that brush will eject the product right out onto the surface, and then you work it in. I mean, if you had to stand there and sort of dip that brush in the can for all that time, it's just that time is money. Every second that you're patting and dipping a brush is just money that you could be putting in your pocket.
Yeah. Not only that, I'll also mention. But with staining shingles, it's really important to do a good job, because if you stop halfway on a shingle, or you get a drip on a shingle down below that didn't get already coated, and you don't get to that shingle, it'll bleed differently into the shingle, and will create a different effect, a deeper look or something. So it's really important that you get the shingles shingle by shingle by shingle by shingle, right? So this kind of, as you saw in that video, it just went really fast and you're done, right?
Yes, and as you mentioned, that's very true with staining. In fact, working bottom up, and that's something actually I recently learned from that video. It was actually from that video I learned that same exact thing. Somebody had said to me, "Geez, you really should be staining from the bottom up," or it was a similar video, whatever. But it was on the same location, and I got to realize, that is properly the way to do it, because you're right, those little drips can leave a different stain color once you've gotten down to those other things. So the way to stain properly is definitely to saturate the surface, back brush everything thoroughly, and make sure you've covered the surface in a uniform manner.
So does your brush attachments, do they work on Titans and Gracos?
That's a great question. So they do. We're universal, and we do work in combination with most airless paint sprayers and equipment. So we do connect right onto Titan. We do connect right onto Graco, and I believe we're compatible with Spray Tech as well. But we aim to be universal with and compatible with all the brands. We want to be versatile for the end user, depending on it shouldn't matter what system they have.
Yeah, because painters always have they love one brush, they hate the other. They love Sherwin-Williams, they hate Dulux. Actually, as of late, it's they hate Sherwin-Williams and they love every other paint. But that's another thing. I would like to speak with you quickly. I want you to tell me when in your life, or the aha moment that you had, that you created this. Because painters, in my opinion, are very smart. And they're very ingenuitive, and they've always got great ideas. And every painter that I know has a great, cool invention that they had. And so for you, you had this invention, you had this idea. Explain to the viewer, walk us through the moment or the times that you thought about this and you thought, hey, wait a minute, this is
Yeah.
what I need to do. Explain that to us.
Yeah, definitely. I love to tell the initial story because that's where it did all begin. It was early mid '90s. I was doing this deck over in Hingham, Massachusetts, and the deck boards were really damaged from the harsh New England weather. They were sun dried and cracked open. They had splits in them. They were peeling really bad. And the people just wanted to get another, 4 or 5 years out of the deck for a replacement. So we thoroughly prepped the deck, got it all cleaned up. And you could tell that the boards really needed a good saturating and working in the products that we were going to be applying. So I had actually just strapped a brush onto a spray gun and ran up and down the boards, applying and back brushing. And it was at that moment that I realized the light bulb went off, and I said, you know what? I need to incorporate spray tips into the brushes and have an internally fed brush that shoots the product out.
Cool.
I actually found doing the research with past patents and stuff in the 50s that the concept was not new, and that it's been around for a long time, and that what I found was it was spray tips that made my brushes work. Spray tips actually give the product the oomph that it needs to come out of the brush. Whereas before spray tips, I don't think they had a successful method. There were little tubes inside brushes and little, funny things, little funny valves in there. I don't know. But so we saw some funny early patents, but I found spray tips incorporated in brushes was the way to go. We quickly, made some prototypes, gave it a try, and found that they actually did work. And that's when, we decided we needed to make these brushes.
And I think I saw on your Facebook page somewhere, you actually patented this product. Is that right?
I missed the question. I'm sorry.
I said somewhere on your Facebook page, I remember you posting it at least a month ago, that your product, your Dipless brushes, are patented. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, they are. It took a long road to get to that point. I mean, honestly, the product went in a shoebox on my office shelf for several years before I had the money for patents, and I did. I saved up the money. I was able to make some background transactions with some property, and I went to Boston, Massachusetts. I bought the best lawyers I could find. We got several patents on the product, multiple patents, so that we could protect our intellectual property. We further developed trademarks that we've also trademarked, as well as the name Dipless and some other important factors that we thought needed patent protection. So yes, we did a lot of background work, if you will, before we brought the product to market. And I think when a real true new technology comes out, that's really the ground work to be done. Is you have to spend a little money, you have to protect your idea, you have to protect your intellectual property, and I'm a big believer in intellectual property. So I'm glad
Absolutely.
You mentioned that. That's where it does all start. We're multi-patented. Thank you.
So what are some of your customers saying about your products?
We've had great testimonials come in. He was a little skeptical, it says in his testimonial at first, not knowing what a Dipless brush was. He did give it a try. He's been back as a repeat customer. He found that he made $1,000 profit per day using the Dipless brush. So we found that was huge value that, he came back and gave us that. And we've had a lot of repeat customers, and we're finding good feedback. We've gotten a lot of good response from our customers.
You've got videos on YouTube. We'll put that up right here. So you've got a Facebook page which shows all of your products. If you're watching this, you can go to the Dipless Brush Facebook page. You can like their page, and you've got a lot of videos that talks about what you're doing, how to do it. And there was actually a video you made just not too long ago showing that you could actually use this product inside. Explain that.
Yep. So again, I'm a big believer in the products. I think that anything that can be applied with a paintbrush can be applied with a Dipless paintbrush. We're no different than a paintbrush. We just take the dipping process out of the application. So the reality is, and I think I mentioned this in one of my videos, is that, holding a paintbrush, we weren't born with a paintbrush in our hand. We learned these skills and trades and how to hold a brush, how to hold a pail. So it's really just about the end user. Once you give it a go, you quickly become accommodated to the product in hand and can learn to apply and backbrush the products. I had no problem cutting in some walls interior with the brush, as you saw in my video.
And so I guess you can put extensions. Watching a video right now, you've got what, a 3-foot pole extended to that. You can have any sort of extension along with it, so it can go right onto your gun if you want to do it. You can have a 1 foot, 3 foot, 10 foot, 20 foot, whatever you want.
Yeah, pretty much. I've done 10 feet. They get the pole starts to want to be wobbly when it gets a little too long. So I've done about 10 feet on a pole, which seemed to work out great for me. It was a cleaning application. I could have done an application with product. I just wasn't for that application. But so you can use these extension poles. And as you mentioned, or I'm going to mention, there are different types of spray guns as well. So, there's a straight gun and an angled gun. I typically use the angled gun. I do like a 3-foot pole, but you can do a variation of what you want. There are also some angle connectors that are out there on the market that also add versatility to the product. So, you want to put it on a pole, put an angle connector. The brush can reach around corners, can cut in, trim that you can, have difficulty reaching. So there's a lot of versatility with the products.
Yeah, see, we're watching these videos here, and I think it's brilliant from a cleaning perspective because I often put cleaning solution, degreaser, mildew, some kind of cleaner in the solution, but there's always a stop. You got to dip the brush and scrub it, and then grab your power washer and then stop back and forth. Whereas you could just load up your sprayer here with the cleaning solution in a 5-gallon bucket and go to town exactly as you're doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And as mentioned, it condenses water. So you use a lot less water consumption than a big gas powered machine. In most applications, you don't really need a big powered machine. Although, don't get me wrong, a lot of us painters all have a big gas powered power washer. We all need them for certain uses. And it's just like any tool. Every tool has its application. So, we're not trying to replace the brush altogether. We just want to add tools to painters' businesses that can improve their efficiency, deliver a better quality job to the customer for one. I mean, that's one of the big things is, backbrushing is so important to deliver a quality job to the customer. Our cleaning brushes are great. I just recently did a nice deck over in Plymouth, Massachusetts. My videos alone speak for themselves. That deck is beautiful. I can't tell you how many people have already gotten back to me and said, our deck is beautiful. And, their nieces and daughters and grandchildren are all getting back saying, wow, the deck is beautiful. It was a really bad deck, and it really needed a thorough scrubbing and a thorough washing. And because the brushes have the spray tips, it actually injects the water in a spray manner, much like a power washer, with just a gentle pressure that's not too abrasive. So what I mean by that is you're not going to damage stucco, or you're not going to damage something that you shouldn't have got your power washer onto. These brushes are effective, yet they're not overpowering.
Yeah. So whenever I'm hiring new employees, I always tell them the straight goods, and I say painting is a laborious job. You have to be physically fit in order to be a painter. Like you really need to be physical, because it's physical labor, moving ladders, going up and down. It's doing a lot of different tasks. Now with this one, I've seen a couple of pictures of you with your muscles, because you're strong, you're lifting 40-foot ladders. So this actually gives you, in a way, a workout, an arm workout while you're painting, right? Like, yeah, it might be a little bit more work, but at the end of the day, it's a lot more faster. And when it's faster, you make more money, right?
That's somewhat true. Depending on how you want to look at it, I mean, it appears like it could be labor intensive. However, much like in the video you have there on the screen doing the concrete patio, So the customer actually replied back to me after doing that patio, and he told me that, so he's lived in the house for 20 some odd years. The patio's been done a handful of times over those years. And ultimately, the time that I did the patio with the Dipless Brush is the best it's ever looked ever. So I don't think it's all in the workout, but I think it's in how you work it in.
Yes.
And I think that, you know, that's the benefit there. Putting it on the pole and being able to not have to, you know, bend over and you know, break your back. I think that that's a huge value to the consumer as well, because as we all know, you know, nobody wants to be bending over all day or on their knees, cutting in around a deck or something, because, you know, that's all wear and tear on our body. Yeah, I like to think of it as less work because, well, one, you're taking away the dipping, and not that that's extensive labor intensive, but it's still movement. And, you know, any movement is kind of labor intensive. So, yeah, we find gliding the brush along is great. And, you know, we're having a good success with it.
Yeah, and another thing I'll mention about that video that we just saw is that keeping a wet edge is critically important, especially when it's hot out and when the sun, like, you know, you're not supposed to paint in the sun, but if that was really the case, there'd be no painting, right? So at the end of the day, you got to keep that wet edge. And if you're dipping with a roller and you're dipping with this and you're doing this and that, it creates an uneven finish. And all of your work could go to shame because the customer says that's ugly. So as your customer said, they were super happy with it. And I think it's because you kept that wet edge and you just keep on going. And there's no reason to stop. There's no hiccups. They just go, right?
Yeah, very true. And especially like you mentioned, because I don't have to, you know, I'm running out of a 5-gallon bucket. I don't have to stop, and I can just, you know, hustle out that area in a large volume in a short period of time. And that's what it's really all about for us. I mean, we want to deliver time savings. We want to deliver, you know, more money you can put in your pocket. I mean, you know, if you don't have to buy extra material, you're saving. If the material isn't, you know, blowing in the wind down the street, you're saving on material. If, you know, you're saving time because it's 3 or 5 times or 10 times faster, that's more money for you. So we're just trying to deliver back and you know, make the process smooth. And most importantly, and I keep mentioning this, delivering that quality job to the customer, because they're the ones that really matter. You know, the reviews we get from the brushes, you know, are equally as important from our customers that we deliver the projects as they are to that we deliver the brushes to. So, you know, everybody has some satisfaction from the brushes. The end user that's using it and applying the products, and the customers that they're delivering their jobs to, because that's really ultimately who matters, because they're going to get the referral, they're going to get the next job. And they're going to get to the next job faster. Then that's another important thing. You know, you can get more jobs done in the same period of time with our brushes, because, you know, you can get on to the next job.
Yeah, and I like the way you present it, because you don't bash other tools. You say it's just a tool. There's always the perfect tool for the job. You don't want a screwdriver when you're putting a nail in, and you want a hammer, right? I love my sprayer and I love spraying and I love my power washer, but I'm definitely going to purchase one of your brushes, actually 2 of them, the cleaner and the other one. And I'm going to give it a try, because about 5 or so, maybe more, 10 years ago, I painted an inside of a grocery store and they said absolutely no spraying. Even though we said we would mask up all the aisles, but we've had huge walls and they said no spraying, but it was this hard, coarse, rough grain wood siding at the top above their deli and their meat. And we had to use a power roller. That was the first time I really used a power roller. And it worked, mind you, it worked, but it was damn heavy. And what I noticed was my guys didn't really have the feel for it. So they'd push too much. And as they roll, it would spit out everywhere. So it was almost causing more grief than just rolling it and lubing it up and just kind of doing that. So if I would have known about your product back then, I would have absolutely used it, because rough cut grain wood, perfect for brushes. You can control the spray. There's no overspray. It would have saved us so much time and effort. So I think that's a great idea, that you have this brush, that you have the cleaner, and that you have the actual other brush that you use for, well, I guess both could be used for all sorts of products, but you made one specifically for the cleaning.
Yep. No, but you know what? Here in the painting industry, and it's pretty much known that if you're going to be painting a surface, it most usually gets washed first. So
Of
whether it's
course.
fencing, siding, even interior walls. I mean, they get wiped down. People clean it. So yeah, we find you need a cleaning brush. So we call it our pre-prep cleaning brush, and then we have our painting brushes as well. So.
Is there any products that you use to clean it with? I mentioned earlier, how do you clean it? Do you have any products or any special products tips that you can
We
give
do.
the viewers?
We do. We like Pretty Boy Cleaner. It's a brush and paint cleaner. That I think his name's Brian Cooney. Brian Cooney, and he's got Pretty Boy brush cleaner, and they're a great product. I actually recommend them. We actually have them on the website. I love to clean my brushes with it. They've got a nice little kit. The bristles are perfect on their cleaning brush because they have a little wire brush that works great. It has a little scraper, so if you have any of that built up residue from like those acrylic and latex paints, you can really clean that off. But it loosens up the product. Our brushes, like I said, I have this one brush. I've used it on 5 different projects. It's really looked in bad shape a couple of times, but using the cleaning products, it cleans right up like brand new. And again, the brushes are made for long-lasting use. So, having a nice brush cleaner product to go along with your brushes, that is always important.
Yeah, and all you got to do is really take care of your brushes, right? If you don't take care of your brushes, you could have a brand new Wooster brush, 40, $50, and it's garbage, right? So if you don't take care of it.
That's exactly right. You know what? Again, like you mentioned about having quality tools, and that's really what it's about. I mean, could we have made a cheap paintbrush? Sure, we could have, but we want a tool that's going to last the customer. We think of our sale as an investment. You're going to buy that brush, and it's going to pay you back probably the first time you use it, but you're going to use it for years to come, and that's the real savings giving back, is that you have a quality tool that's going to last you a long time.
Like, even if you just use it for decks, and that's all you do, because I paint a lot of decks myself, and I just painted my deck the other day, and I did the same old brush in the crack all down the line, stepping in the paint as I'm going along, then rolling it with a roller. Mind you, I enjoy doing that, but like, even if it's just for decks, I think it's a great tool to have if you've got a sprayer, and any professional painter will have a sprayer, in my opinion. So I think that's just a brilliant idea. Where can people get your product? Like, are you in retail stores, or are you just solely online?
So we're not solely online. We do have a store in San Diego, California that carries the product there. You had to ask me. Let me get their name. Give me a minute. I'll come up with the name. Anyway, we are online, diplessbrush.com. So we are direct to consumer, but we are working on all the local paint stores and other vendors to carry the product. We're also going to be launching a program. Hold on, affiliate program coming up. So we're going to be launching that too, and that's going to put some foot soldiers on the ground and help us get some sales done in the books, and help spread the word about Dipless brushes. It'll also allow some of you other guys that do have some followings out there that might want to make a little extra money. It's going to be helpful for you guys as well. So it's again, we're trying to give back to everybody. So it's not all about us. It's about the end user. It's about the customer, and it's about people that want to affiliate with us. So yep.
Cool. So you've got your website there. So you also mentioned in an email that you have contractor discounts if I buy 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know if you want to explain that to any of the viewers right now, so that when they go to your site.
So yeah, I can give you a brief explanation. So yes, we have volume contracted discount. So I'm not sure if it starts at 6 brushes and up, or something around that numbers. My business partner Brian, he handles a lot of the business end and has those numbers. When people come to me and ask me, I just quickly reach out to him and get the answers that he needs. I don't actually have the specific numbers in front of me, but I believe it's 6 and up. You have contractor value pricing.
Okay, that's excellent. And I guess, where can people get that information? Like, can they just send an email to somebody or contact them?
Yep. You can send. You know what? We welcome all questions, and we're happy to answer all of them. So if you send your questions to info@diplessbrush.com, That's our general inbox for answering questions, general inquiries, any, pre-purchase questions that people have that they, might have. But we can also be reached in other places. I mean, we're on social media. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and, all the social sites. So, you can reach out to us in all those departments. We're always try to be available and prompt to answer the questions. We're easily reachable. And you can find us diplessbrush.com or one of the other venues.
Yeah, and you've also got a YouTube video here or YouTube channel. So you've got a lot of really good videos there that shows kind of how to do it. So anybody that buys a product, they can go there and take a look at how you do it and what works and get it done. Absolutely. So you said you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, are you on Instagram and Twitter and everything else, TikTok or?
So I'm not sure we're on TikTok yet, but we're on most of all the other social media sites, and I'm trying to grow my popularity. I'm trying to get the video content out there so that people can actually see for themselves, the efficiency, the versatility. When we say minimal overspray, they can see that there is none. Just everything that we want to, add credibility and back us up. I'm out there getting these videos and doing these on my own job. So like you mentioned, I'm a home improvement contractor of 40 years. I've been painting here in Massachusetts all these years, and that's how we develop the products. But I use them on my jobs, and they've been very efficient. In fact, I kept the secret from my competitors by holding onto my own tools and using them as an advantage. So, and we're finding some of our customers doing the same. But you know what? It's an advantage over the competitors, and we recommend them. So,
well, I get excited when I see entrepreneurs create ideas and then take it to the market. And it's clear that you're a contractor. It's clear that you're a worker. It's clear you're not necessarily a top dog CEO, sales and marketer, but you clearly walk the walk. That's what I call a transformational leader, someone who models the way. And I love watching your shows. I love watching your Facebook feed. I love your comments that you have throughout because you have wisdom to other painters. And so I wanted to have you on the show here today because I promote entrepreneurialism and I promote kind of like the free market with respect to painting and helping homeowners and painters connect to create a stronger community. That's essentially what Trusted House Painter is all about. Yeah. It's all about creating stronger local communities because you start with the people, then communities, and then a nation. Not you start with a nation, then communities and people. That's what I believe. And I'm always trying to promote relationships because at the end of the day, that's all you have. And you've mentioned that in our show is that you have the relationship between you and your customer and the customer in their home. And the painting is just the middleman, right? Mm-hmm. So absolutely, I really want to thank you for being on the show here. Is there any last words you want to say to any of your customers, fans, or viewers where they can follow you or, how they can pick up this brush?
Yeah, definitely. All of the above. We'd love to have them follow us. Again, you can find us on all the social media sites. So you can definitely check out our products, diplessbrush.com. We're excited to have, you people as our customers because again, we want to deliver some value to you. We want to help you take your painting business or your staining business to the next level. And that's what it's all about. So helping each other out. And as you mentioned, so there is a segment for products that are by painters for painters or, by a tradesman, by an electrician for an electrician. They come up with products. You're totally right. These people are the most innovative people in the industry, are the people that actually use the products daily and have that light bulb, light up and say, hey, I got this great idea. And to follow through with it, that's a whole nother avenue because, I'm a big believer. Everybody has a great idea. It's just a matter of are you willing to pursue it? Are you willing to chase down that dream? Are you willing to do something with it? I mean, your IP is valuable if you have a great idea. And this goes back to your first question, what piece of advice would I give to somebody, going forward? It's, chase that dream, to go follow that idea. If you think it's a good idea, it's a good idea. Do you have to do a little research first? Sure you do. But you know what? If you believe in yourself and you believe in what you believe in, do it. that's my ending piece of advice as well, is just, go for it. Don't, is it a chance? Of course it is, but a chance is worth taking.
Absolutely. And a saying that I always say is leap before you look, because the longer you look, the harder it takes and the more you analyze, and then you get what I call paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
So I want to thank you for being on the show. If you're watching the show right now, today is what's the date? It's July 24th. You've got this 20% coupon code. It's pod20. You can go to diplessbrush.com. You can buy any product you want, and you get, I think it's just the brushes, and you get your 20% off. If you've got questions, you can contact Larry at info@diplessbrush.com. You can follow him on Facebook. And Larry, I just really want to thank you for being on the show. And I really appreciate you being on the Trusted House Painter Academy Facebook page. It's a private group. We air solely to painters who want to learn more about business, about relationship, and kind of the higher level of production. I think there's a lot of elders on the site that, they do dip in and they give high level information. So I want to thank you for being part of that.
And I want to thank you very much for having me. You know what, this is great, and I'm really, I couldn't have wanted to spend my Saturday morning anywhere else. And this was a huge for me, huge for our listeners and your listeners as well. So, thank you so much. It's the opportunity you gave me, and I'm extending my thanks. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. And if you're watching this right now and you're a painter and you want to market your painting company for free, you can go to trustedhousepainter.com. You can register for a free account. It's a free one-page website. And so if you're not tech savvy, it's perfect, because we market directly to homeowners, property managers, real estate agents, and any other agent, so that you can get a taste of what a little bit more marketing is. You can add it to your current marketing strategy. And the side thing of this is that you get access to leads when they come in. So it's a different type of lead gen, but it's not just the lead gen. It's more of a community for painters. It's a trusted community of house painters. And that's why it's called Trusted House Painter. So thanks so much for being on the show, Larry. And we'll definitely have you on the show. Keep us updated with any new products, any more information. And I'd love to have you on the show again in the future. And I want to thank you and Brian for connecting with me and making this work today.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. And again, thank you. And you know what? It was my pleasure as well. This was great.
All right, Larry. We'll talk to you soon. And to all of you out there, make sure you paint the world a better place.
That's right. All right.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks, Larry.
You're welcome. Thank you.